find your joy. We chase happiness. And happiness, I always say this, requires something to be happening. I got that from good old Kirk Franklin. Joy is spiritual. Joy lives within. And so access that joy, no matter how small, each and every day. And it just makes everything else feel better, and also gives you that lift that helps you to keep going.
Hello, welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. And, every week I introduce you to extraordinary women from around the world. And they are dedicated to bringing their wisdom and their courage and their strength and their service to uplift the well-being of women everywhere. In my life, I work with leaders and teams, and I train coaches in my emotional integration techniques. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But I really believe that we are in a time of profound emergence for women, where their voices and their visions, their leadership, it's rising in powerful ways. So I'm really grateful to be a conduit to introduce you to these remarkable change makers and to share their stories of transformation, resilience, and impact. You can find Women Awakening with Cynthia James on all the platforms and video on YouTube. And so please share these conversations, subscribe, and leave a review. Your reviews really make a difference in helping us reach more women around the world. So you can also connect with me through my website, cynthiajames.net. I have a newsletter, a vibrant private community, and many offerings to support your fullest expression. Now, I want to introduce you to someone new to me. Her name is Jessica Rogers. And for over 15 years, I love this, she's coached ambitious, values-driven senior leaders to strengthen their voice, lead with authenticity, and advance their careers without compromising who they are. So many of the leaders care deeply about their teams and the impact that they make. But sometimes, they can feel unseen, undervalued, or pressured to compromise who they are. So they're often navigating complex organizational environments where competence, visibility, and influence are critical. So what's great about what Jessica does is that she helps them clarify their purpose and unique contribution, build the skills and confidence they need to communicate with impact, navigate challenges without losing integrity, and develop strategies to progress their careers while staying true to their values. One of the things I loved about reading in her bio, it said, the result is that you become more effective, resilient, and authentic, able to inspire trust, create inclusive environments, and make decisions that align with both organizational goals and personal principles. Wow. Thank you, Jessica, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Cynthia. What an introduction. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, I just want to start with how you were born and where you were born. I think it's important for the women who are watching this show to realize everybody just doesn't drop on the planet as a success.
No, certainly not. So I was born and raised in London in the UK. I was born to immigrant parents from Ghana. I grew up in a household with my siblings and my parents. And one of the key things my parents always said was that, they wanted us to have a better life than them. They came here, they worked really hard, came here to the UK, worked really hard to basically ensure that, well, in their view, we didn't have to work as hard as them. We'd get an education, and we'd be able to make a better lives for ourselves. And so that was always kind of the narrative that ran through my home. So I did well at school, I went to university, and I started a career in marketing. And whilst I enjoyed that career, I always felt like there was something a little bit missing. And I think it was very much about the people aspect. So I worked with people, but I never felt like I was making a real difference or contribution to the world because I was marketing products. Um, and so in my childhood, I was always the one that the sensible one of my friendship group, the one that people came to for advice. So I wasn't, so I was making a difference to my friends and that kind of thing, but I wasn't doing that in my work. And so I was on a coaching program. It was a young leaders coaching program. And it had a really profound effect on me because that program for the first time, and I would have been about 25, 26 at the time, but the first time sort of made me sit and reflect on what my purpose was, what was my reason for being here and what my values were as well. And this was not language that I was used to really, because I was very much a doer. You got things done. You did the right thing, but you did it kind of because it was the right thing to do. And I didn't really think about why I did some of the things I did, apart from the fact that it was the right thing to do. My parents told me it was the right thing to do. Maybe society told me it was the right thing to do. And so I was on this program for about a year. It was great. It had a profound effect on me. And then roll forward a few years and I became a mum for the first time. And in that process of returning to work after parental leave, I started to think, actually, what is really important to me? I've got this human that I'm bringing up into this world. Life is more than that kind of 9 to 5. I want to do something that matters. If I'm going to put my child in childcare, I want to be doing work that really matters. So I thought I'll do some coaching training, just really as personal development to find out a bit more about myself, because this coaching program I was on was so great. And it was in that process that I discovered that I loved coaching and I was pretty good at it. So roll forward 17 years and here I am still doing it.
I love that. It's so interesting because my life kind of evolved in the same way. I had worked for corporations and different organizations and helped them build what I called their kingdoms. And I got invited to be in a global leadership program. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for other people. What do I do for me? What's important for me? And it was like, I didn't know what I didn't know, but I realized the same as you, I wanted to support people. And so I guess I want to ask, did you know how to start a company?
Absolutely not. No one teaches you how to start a company, particularly a company that, in my mind, I want to help people. So, how do you make money from that? That at the forefront of my mind, was I just want to help. I just want to help the world. I want everybody to have coaching. I want everybody to have this experience. I had no idea how to start a company. The first few years, actually, I made lots of mistakes. I gave away a lot of my time for free because I was so desperate to help people. And what I learned was that, yes, it gave me a great feeling. And yes, I had people saying nice things about me, but to be perfectly frank, I didn't pay the mortgage. So I had to start to think a bit differently and think, yeah, I want to help people. And there is the stuff I can do to give back in a pro bono way. But actually, I need to be quite strategic about who I work with, about how I communicate my value to ensure that I get paid and I get paid appropriately.
Well, what I love about what you're saying, is that you taught yourself how to be more effective and resilient and authentic. And then you could share it with others and get paid to do that.
And a turning point actually for me was getting a business coach. I got this business coach. She said, all right, this is a business. And actually, that was the thing she said to me. She said, that warm, fuzzy feeling doesn't pay your bills. It was just like, yeah, actually, you're right there. So then we came up with a strategy. What is the business going to look like? What's the model? Where are the different revenue streams? How was I going to reinvest in the business? All of that great stuff.
Well, which is great. While you're taking care of a baby.
Yeah, so by this point, he was probably about 2.
That.
But yeah, he was still a baby. And then another one came along. So
okay. Okay, so you're in a partnership. You got 2 babies. You're running a business. How is your self-care?
That's a really interesting question. I think self-care was something that I learned was absolutely critical after my second child, my daughter, because I was just running on empty. I was exhausted. And I heard the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I learned that it was important, it was imperative, in fact, for me to carve out non-negotiable me time. Now, that was harder when the babies were babies, but now, they're 18 and 15 now. For example, Monday morning for me is my time, and I go to the gym, and that's a non-negotiable. It's in my calendar, because I found that once I put time in my calendar, it kind of is in my calendar, so it's happening. And when I don't take the time for me, I feel it. And I think it's so easy, particularly for us as women, to be giving to everybody. If we're a carer, a nurturer, a partner, a business, people around you, family members. I've got a big family. We all look after each other. So as in my wider family, you start to feel quite frazzled, and depleted. And you can't give the best of yourself, or you give it away so much that there's very little left for yourself. And it will always have a knock-on effect, always.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you mentioned non-negotiables, because I had to get to that place with myself, finding a way to say, the calendar's for me too. It's not just for other people. It's for me too. And I'm going to honor what's on this calendar. So now I want to know, you're building this business. Where'd your clients come from?
So initially, word of mouth, very much word of mouth. So I started off coaching women who were like me, who were returning to work after a career break. And so I had this pool of women that I knew who were in my network, who were in a similar situation as me. And the word of mouth sort of grew from there, where I got clients that way. And then I learned that I actually had to market myself. So for somebody who had a marketing background, I was like, I can't market myself, I can market products. But I learned very quickly I had to market myself. So I got a website. I started attending networking meetings and speaking about what I did. But the biggest turning point was, it wasn't just about speaking about what I did, it was about communicating the value. So when people say, what do you do? Instead of saying, oh, I'm a coach, I help people transform their lives. I help people find their voice. And I found that was the turning point in my marketing, was speaking about value rather than just what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. And I love the whole marketing thing, because a lot of the women that I work with, it's like they struggle with visibility. They struggle with marketing themselves, even though they have this gift that they want to give. I mean, was visibility always easy for you?
No, it was, I had to get out of my own way. I had that, oh my goodness, what will people think? All of those, the narratives that we have running through our heads, or I know I did. And I had to learn to almost say, okay, if I don't do this, how are people going to know I'm here, and how can I help people? So I say I want to help people, but how can I help people if they don't know I'm here? So I'm visible. I have to speak about what I do. I have to get out there online, all that good stuff.
So when people come to you, do you have a certain process that you use with new clients?
Yeah. So with every new client, we have an initial consultation or a chemistry session, because I feel that in order for it to be a productive relationship, it's really important that we gel. And so I have a complimentary, no obligation initial consultation with any prospective client. And that's usually sort of 30 to 45 minutes. And I'll hear more about what they want to get from coaching. I'll tell them more about my approach. And we'll just generally have a bit of a chat. And, you just get that. I work very much on instinct and vibe. And then if there's a fit, we talk about what their package, what their program is going to look like. And then we go from there. And I usually, whenever people say, yeah, I'm going to sign up now, I'd always say, just sleep on it. And I'll send you a summary, and then let's decide. And then if you still want to go ahead, tomorrow, then fine, let's put a date in the diary. And that's kind of my process with individuals.
Right.
And
well, I'm really glad that you said that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but because, chemistry matters. If both parties don't feel like this is a fit,
yeah,
it's going to be bumpy.
Yeah. And I've been there. And that's why, I've done that where I kind of think, oh, I can make it work. It's going to be fine, or if I'm honest, I kind of need the money. So it's going to, and it inevitably, it doesn't work just because if there is just a bit of misalignment, it comes through in the coaching. Either then, as a coach, I'm working really hard to try and solve your problem, which is not my job, or as a client, they're not showing up fully. And that doesn't work for anybody. And that's not what we want.
Well, that's, couldn't agree with you more. It took me a long time to learn that lesson too. So you work with teams as well?
I do, yes. So I have corporate contracts where I go in and I work with teams and groups. It's more group coaching than team coaching that I do. So in the sense that I bring together executives who maybe don't work directly with each other, but they're at the same organization. And we have group coaching sessions where they bring their individual challenges or issues, but because they have an understanding of the system that they're working in, because they're in the same organization, they can offer each other support in a safe space, in a safe and a brave space.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And so do you ever get individual clients out of that who need extra support?
Yeah, so sometimes so my group coaching programs normally go on for a period of time as the group so the group can really gel and get to know each other. And then after that, sometimes some of them will then request some one-to-one coaching because they want to delve a bit deeper into whatever's going on for them. Or maybe if they're going for promotion usually, and they want that coaching to support the process.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful. So you're clearly in a relationship. I mean, tell me how you manage. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's definitely a job. So how do you manage the partnership so that it feels nurtured? I mean, mothers always are going to take care of the kids. It's what we do. But nurturing the partner as well as nurturing the business, how do you manage that?
Do you know what, Cynthia? It's a challenge. And it's interesting that you asked that because I think in recent times, as the kids have got a bit older, that I've really turned my attention more to my husband because I've been so engrossed in bringing the kids up and growing my business. And, you keep going. Well, we've just kept going and it's fine. You have your ups, you have your downs. But it's in recent times that it's like, actually, we like each other. We're friends as well. We got together for a reason, because everything was like, there was us and the children in the middle, like navigating everything with the kids. And they're still here with us, but it's just different because they're doing their own thing more. So now we have a bit more time to turn our focus to each other. And I think it takes effort. I think it takes a real intentional effort as well. It doesn't just things don't just kind of continue to be okay by themselves. You have to really work at it. And so that's what we're in the process of working at it, reminding ourselves why we like each other.
Well, I love that. Well, my husband and I have been together for 30 years. And I got to tell you, what you just said is exactly right. You have to work at it. You have to remember that this person is your friend, not just your lover. And then acceptance of people as they're growing, because we're all growing and evolving. And so, I love that you're doing that. And I'm sure your husband loves getting more attention.
Definitely. And I think, so I'm a woman of faith as well. I'm a Christian. And it's interesting sometimes that sort of the patience and the love that I keep in my heart, I try to keep in my heart, is what I try to bring to my marriage as well, because, we're not perfect. And as you say, we're evolving and changing and we don't always agree, but it's just trying to bring some of those values into the relationship as well, I find is helpful.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, the foundation of Christianity is love. I mean, we would want to bring that and we would all want to feel loved and feel seen. I want to know how people find you and your fabulous work.
So I have a website and it's jessicavrodgers.co.uk, or I am very active on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and on all of those, I'm Jess Rogers Coach.
Jess Rogers Coach. Okay, everybody, especially all you people over there in the UK, listen, run to her door, don't walk. So I asked the same last question of anybody on my show. The show is called Women Awakening. From your perspective, what do you think is the most important thing about women awakening in this moment?
I think find your joy. And I think that, we chase happiness. And happiness, I always say this requires something to be happening. I got that from good old Kirk Franklin song. And actually, joy is spiritual. Joy lives within. And so access that joy, no matter how small, each and every day. And it just makes everything else feel better and also gives you that lift that helps you to keep going.
So, Jessica, you radiate that. I mean, joy just comes right through you. So I can imagine that when you're working with people or being with your family, that joy fills the space. So I agree with you 100%. Whatever you do, find the joy.
Yeah, I think and we can always find some joy. I mean, I think even in the bleakest of circumstances, there's a light. And if we hang on to that light, it gets bigger.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I am so honored to have met you, to have had this conversation. I can imagine how profound your work is with people because you have such a heart of service. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to meet you.
Okay, everybody, let me just say this. I hope that you were listening to the beautiful Jessica. And the things that she said, there were many points in there that were just beautiful, non-negotiables, marketing yourself, doing what you love, nurturing your relationship. I hope you walk away feeling so inspired, so touched and encouraged, and reminded that incredible power lives within you. These interviews are here to support your vision unfolding, your voice coming forward, and your unique gifts in the world being delivered. I told you earlier that I do emotional integration technique coaching with individuals and leaders and companies. And if you'd like to know more, you can go to my website, cynthiajames.net. I'm going to be training new coaches in January 2026. Please subscribe. Share these episodes with the women in your life, and please leave a review. Really helps us bring more extraordinary voices to the platform. And don't forget to go to YouTube and watch us on video. Look for Women Awakening with Cynthia James. Until the next time that we get together, I hope that you will continue to find your joy, rise, shine, and awaken to the fabulous fullness that lives within you. Honored to be with you. Many blessings. Love you.